gates, which the Hebrews borrowed and stole this book of gates, the heaven and hell concept, 100 years before the birth of Jesus Christ. They didn't even have one at first. They adopted this book of gates, and they stole this book of gates, which is the heaven and hell concept that you all spooked out about this doggone devil. That's why you can't really get into none of this, because you scared you go into hell. Well, the book of gates, the real personification of this book of gates is this. They never said that you would catch retribution. They say the people that would catch retribution are the enemies of Ra and Osiris. Ra being a blue-black god, and Osiris being a blue-black god. Who are the enemies of black people? In actuality, they're saying the enemies of black people. Who are your enemies? What is the opposite of black? So they're talking about white people. It's funny because we had me and Cohen had a lecture, we had an argument with a white boy. A white boy goes to ITC, cracker. We beat this cracker on the ground. We beat him in the ground for 3 hours. And the funny part about it was he bears witness. And I said, no, the retribution is you. I said, if you knew what's in that Bible, you would throw it down, because that means your ass with you, not ours. You understand? So we would need to be clear on this heaven and hell. And in this hell concept, or in this heaven concept, we understand that the people will come in a ship, or the boat of souls. See, the Dogon tribe tells you that our people are on, there's another planet, and that planet is called, anyway, there's another planet, and that planet is called Sirius C. It's called a star of woman. So you know you're mistreating woman. If you want to get to heaven, you need to cut that out. Anyway, it's called the star of woman. Now in this star of woman, they say that our ancestors are on this star. And it says that one day they will come down with Nomo. Nomo will come back with the ancestors of man and subdue evil Ogun. Now in this mother plane that this group, the Mark Age, which is a group that has been channeling these signals, they say, well, this mother plane has all of these prophets since the beginning of time, and all of these great ancestors who have gone on to a higher realm. That means you know spiritual people all your life. Maybe your grandmother, maybe your grandfather. All this is the boat of soul. And on this boat that is big as huge cities, that's big as huge cities, that has smaller boats and all of thousands of members. So the stuff that was prophesied by Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as well as the Dogon tribe, is coming soon. Now, what does this mean? Does this mean you saying, well, since the mothership coming, I might as well go ahead and party? No, it doesn't mean that. Because what it means is this. Some of you brothers and sisters, between now and then, is going to be getting all kind of lessons. It's going to be some of you that's going to take heed to the lessons, and some of you just going to ignore it. But there's only one sad part about this is retribution going to come to all the Uncle Toms and all the sellouts. Well, they're going to get slayed. They need it. And they need it. And they need it. So the point I'm trying to say to you is, you got a serious time. You're at a serious point that you need to start first. You need to learn your history. A people who don't know their history is lost forever. You can't know where you're going until you know where you've been. So you need to learn your history. If a person is historically illiterate coming in the new ages, he is out of it. So therefore, you need to learn your history. Number two, you need to practice good diet and good metaphysical science and raising yourself to a great godhood. That's lining up these 7 chakras and opening up this kundalini, in which Brother Cohen is going to drop on this kundalini. Now I want to read this actual, in the book Gerald Massey, Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, there's a papyrus in there, and in this papyrus it says, they're talking about a speaker. Now this speaker is actually on the ship. He's on the ship, and he's telling the captain or the commander of the ship, he said, oh, let me drive this ship. This is thousands and thousands of years old. He said, let me drive this ship. Let me drive this ship to the west, where my people who walk around with their head to the ground praying, who know no way of lifting themselves up. That's us. We're trying to find, well, how the hell are we getting out of this? And it's saying, let me drive the ship. let me go forth to the west and tackle those oppressors. And then in the papyrus it says, oh yes, the people, the lost souls, who are the lost souls? You are lost, board the ship, and later was rescued. But before that point is a big void. And that point is, you have to be for liberation 100%. But see, the white man got a trick for you. His trick is, we're going to give a few of you Negroes what you want, mainly you. Give you your jobs, give you all the little final things in life on this physical realm. And he's going to keep you preoccupied with all of this. It's mainly with sex, all of the great material wealth, and all of this to keep you to a point that you won't rise spiritually. The other point is, yes, he's going to do this to black people, and we're talking about you. Number one, you will represent the black middle class. All of the 80s, they have neutralized all of the underclass, and you've seen that all on the TVs, killing each other, just degradation, AIDS, crack, all of this, till the underclass is literally dead. The only thing left is, once you wipe out the underclass in a caste system, there's only another class to go, the upper-lower class. We known as the middle class. You're really upper-lower class because you're one paycheck away from poverty. But the point is this. On this system, that means the other one has to drop down, and that's you. It's funny because the sister said, well, I'm trying to understand this. She said, I'm getting in my readings that in about 2 years, the bottom's going to drop out of this economy, and they're going to let go all the black middle class. They're going to take their jobs away from you. That's some of your mothers and your fathers. So this stuff is affecting you. Don't say, oh, you need to go and talk to the brothers and sisters in the projects because they're killing themselves. No. They're talking about you. They're going to take the jobs away from you. Why? Because they understand that if these black people are actually gods, that they are going to open up in a divine awakening soon. We must detain them and get rid of them before this divine awakening opens up. Now we understand they're not going to be victorious, but this is the sick mentality of the beast. You understand? So they're going to take the jobs away from you. And when they take these jobs away from you, remember now, you represent the voice of America. When the black middle class get upset, they start to marching and we shall overcome and all this here. And you start making all kinds of great frenzies. But when they take these jobs away from you, you're going to lose your mind. You understand? Saying after we have done all this, we've even sold out for you. White. Psychotrauma. There's a book called Psychotrauma. And after we have done all this, and we've even looked down on our brothers and sisters and made them the butt of the joke. Yeah, look at them gold teeth. You understand? Look at all them 4,000 earrings. Look at little mama and shorty pimp. Look at little Willie. After we have done all of this, you still put us out in the cold. And so you're going to start rioting, because remember they did a test drive with this test riot back in the LA riots, all set up by the government to see how you act. Because remember, the people were all in line. They had these little cars running around the AU Center, and those little cars was driven by officials of FEMA. FEMA is the Federal Emergency Act, which gives you all your blankets, all of your stuff when you have these hurricanes and these storms. But it's also the Federal Emergency Act is when black people get out of hand, that's a federal emergency. And they enact this King Alfred plan to put you in concentration camps. So FEMA, and if you notice this too, in that riot, martyr that you pay money to automatically came to a paramilitary vehicle system that transported the troops into the AU Center. If you went up on what's the Northside Drive, you would have saw they had a whole group of martyr buses that got the troops here. That's all a part of the system. But anyway, in this system, you have FEMA and you have all of this. They know you're going to lose your mind. And when you lose your mind, because they started that riot before just to see how you would lose your minds, and you did a good job of it. Plus, half the white people burn up some buildings just to make it a riot, so you would say all this. But they understand one other thing. They're probably going to kill a world leader. I don't want to put no bad mouth on people, but it might be some of these Uncle Tom leaders that they put in the media. You see, they won't kill the black revolutionary freedom fighters like Farrakhan and all of them, because they know that you will really lose your mind and this country will go up in smoke. Because one thing, they know that there's a divine prophecy on him. Because remember, he had a vision and went to this mother wheel that Honorable Elijah Muhammad was in 1986. Believe it or let it alone, as he said. That's right. So they know they don't want to mess with the divine prophecy. So they're going to kill one of these Uncle Tom leaders. compared to these niggas that they give you on TV all the time. And there's not gonna be no justification for it. So now you sitting home, bro. Some of your leaders that you think that you admire, they're gonna kill them. And the next thing you know, they're gonna start this ride all over again, and then it's gonna be lights out, and it's gonna also be FEMA that's gonna enact the King Alfred plan. And Al Gore is over FEMA. Al Gore wrote a book. This is your vice president. Al Gore wrote a book. Some new book called The New World Order. I can't think of the name of the book. But in his book, he simply stated that, look, Africa, as far as we're concerned, is a lost continent. And what he's saying is, as far as we're concerned, it's lost, and it's going to stay lost, and it's going to actually die. And the people over here also. So based on that, this King Alfred plan that Al Gore, the people that you all elected, I saw y'all running around with that little vote button on, to elect these people, are the people that's going to bring you into the New World Order. Number one, we understand that in 1990 in the Bilderberg group, they elected Bill Clinton to be the next president because they understood that people did not like Bush because he got the country in a mess of a jam, which he was only following orders. But they say, just in case, we're going to give you somebody that's the same. They're in the sister fraternities, Skull and Bones, and what's that, Sproul and Keith. All the people the same. You get in that chair, you all working for the same people, and you voted them in. And if you notice, he has reneged on everything that he said he was going to do. He said no new taxes, and last week he said, I got to do it. And then I want to ask you a question. If this brother, I don't want to say brother, I'm used to saying brother in my speeches because that's a good habit, but if this cracker will let go thousands or let's say hundreds of his brothers and sisters in the Congress 2 weeks ago, what the hell he give a damn about you? Seems to me that don't sound like no good lesson for you getting any kind of wealth in the future. He is a part of the New World Order, and he's going to bring it in. That's his goal, to give you somebody that's pacified and look about like Kennedy. You know how it is, young, a loving, what you call an illusionary president that will bring in this New World Order and lock you down. So whether you believe it or let it alone, you'll be sitting here one day when the tanks start rolling in, and you will say, damn, somebody told me about that before. But the point of the